Hello, welcome back to Paul's Stuff. This is my space on YouTube where I talk about all the things I love. Lots of Star Wars, lots of lightsabers. Today's a Star Wars video and it's another in that continuing series of me showing you my collection of Black Series 6-inch figures. And today we're going to have a look at part 2 of my Empire Strikes Back collection. So last time we looked at the figures from Hoth. If you haven't seen that video, probably a good idea to have a look at it. Includes the snow speeder, which is quite possibly the most spectacular vehicle that we've ever had in the Black Series. But today we're going to have a look at figures from the rest of the film. There are a few holes in my collection here, which I may plug at some point. I don't collect every figure in the range. I collect the figures I like and the films and TV series that I like. So enough waffle from me, let's start looking at the figures. And we're going to start with the Dagobah R2-D2. So as I've said in previous videos, Astromechs up until this year, it's 2023, up until this year Astromechs in the Black Series range are undersized. For some reason, when they made the original R2-D2, they made him under scale with the rest of the figures. And so this is that standard Black Series R2-D2 with some muddy weathering on him. The weathering is done really nicely. It's not too bad at all. But other than that, he's a standard R2-D2. Came as part of the 40th anniversary carded series. Has all the usual R2-D2 features. So there's a third leg that will wind down with the head. The little doors on the front open. There's lots of accessories that can go on this. So that's R2-D2. And then while we're on Dagobah, we'll have a look at the Luke and Yoda 2-pack. So this is Luke training with Yoda on Dagobah, with Yoda in the backpack. This came as a two-pack like this, and I think it's the only time we've had this particular Yoda figure released in the line, and that's important because he's scaled more accurately than the actual Yoda figure itself. The individual Yoda figure is an earlier mould, and he's quite big, quite a bit bigger than he should be for this scale really. So we got a lovely Yoda, we got the backpack, and we got a reasonable Luke. As I've said before, Mark Hamill has one of those faces that is difficult to replicate in scale figures. But I think they did an okay job here. This is him in his sort of sweaty, dirty look from training on Dagobah. I may lay this figure down. I'm going to try and stand him up, but he has quite a delicate balancing point, so he may fall over, and if he does, I'll just leave him laying down. That's Luke and Yoda 2-pack. Now we're going to move on and start looking at the bounty hunters. And when we're talking about bounty hunters, we have to start with the man himself, Boba Fett. So again, this is the 40th anniversary carded release. Nice figure. This figure's been around for quite some time now. There are lots and lots of knockoffs of this figure. because those people making knockoff figures know how popular Boba Fett is. So it can sometimes be difficult to find a genuine one. That's Boba Fett. We'll leave him in the middle there, and we'll put some more bounty hunters around him. So next up we have one of my favourite bounty hunters. This is Dengar. Love this guy. And I think Hasbro did a banging job on creating Dengar in a 6-inch figure. It's a lovely figure. Once again, look at the detail on this backpack, both in terms of the sculpt and the paint. There's a lovely blaster, which is correct for Dengar. Now, the one thing I have changed on this figure is the main blaster rifle. When you get him, he has a DLT-19, I think it is, blaster rifle, which is not inaccurate for Dengar, but we only ever see him with that in the promotional pictures. That's the MG34 based blaster rifle. When we see him in the movie, he has an MG42 or an MG3 based blaster rifle. So I managed to find one in 1/12 scale. Not particularly difficult. Came as a kit, and I built that up and painted it up, and he now has the rifle that we see him with in the movies. Now that is Dengar. Love that figure. Next up, we'll have a look at IG-88. And most people will probably recognise this figure from the IG-11 in The Mandalorian. IG-88 is the original assassin droid, if you like. This is an original boxed one from the Red Line, I believe. You can see he's worse for wear. He should have little rubber gaiters around his elbow joints, but they perish and fall off actually relatively quickly. They're like a foam rubber. So technically this figure isn't 100% complete and how he was when he came out of the box, but he's not a great figure anyway. Should be a little bit taller, possibly a little bit more beefy looking, but nonetheless he's the IG-88 that we get in the Black Series line. Next up we have Bosque, another great bounty hunter. Trandoshan. We see him snarling in the film, and they've actually put a movable jaw on this figure, which is a nice touch. Once again, aliens, really usually good from the Black Series. Another great 6-inch bounty hunter. That's Bosque. Next up we have Forom. So when I was talking about the blaster with Dengar before, this is the blaster you'll get with Dengar. It's not inaccurate, as I say. He is seen with it in the promotional pics, but we don't see him with it in the film. We do, however, see Forom with it. And Forom is built off of a protocol droid body. Has that wonderful head. Really, really nice paint applications to show the weathering on this guy. The detailing on the eyes is fantastic. If we bring him in, get the camera to focus on him, you can see the wonderful head sculpt that this has. And again, it's that Hasbro do aliens and droids really, really well. And another point in question, here's Zakus, the last of the bounty hunters that we see in Empire. Another fantastic figure. They did some really great soft goods on this as well. He has that sort of long robe coat underneath his harness, and they went with some soft goods that I think works really well with that. And fantastic patterning on it, and another great sculpt. The detailing on this figure is equally as good. He's a lovely figure. Fantastic detailing all round. So I really like and appreciate the bounty hunters that we see in Empire. It's the first time we hear of bounty hunters in Star Wars, which is great. And yeah, there we have all 6 of the bounty hunters that we see in The Empire Strikes Back. And of course, what they're after is Han Solo, and what Boba Fett ends up with is Han Solo in carbonite. So this is one of the more interesting Black Series figures. It is Han Solo in carbonite, which means effectively it's a moulded slab of hard plastic. Does have the feature that the stand can be used in a couple of different configurations, so you can have it like this upright, or you can have it in a floating configuration as we see it moving through the halls of Bespin with Boba Fett. Some nice detailing on the side panels and things on here. They have put a lot of attention to detail into this, in spite of it being a fairly basic figure and design. So the panels are nicely represented there. Yeah, Han Solo in carbonite. We'll pop in behind the bounty hunters. Next up, we have the Bespin version of Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian, for some reason, always seems to get overproduced by Hasbro and always seems to end up as a peg warmer. So this is a figure that you could pick up really, really easily and very often at very, very reasonable prices. It's not a bad figure. Has that cape, which is a moulded piece. It is removable. Comes with a blaster and his comlink to be able to speak to Lobot. And Lobot would be a great addition to the line, really. And you know, this is a Billy D. Williams head sculpt. It's not fantastic, I don't think. It's not bad either. It does have the photo reel, which always makes these look more human. That's Lando. Then we have the 40th anniversary Bespin Han. Again, it's a reissue of the Bespin Han with photoreal face painting. Another really nice figure, great detail on it, and it does benefit from the photoreal. It looks a little bit more like Han than the original figure did with the with just the ordinary paint applications. That's Bespin Han Solo. And to go with Bespin Han Solo, we have Bespin Luke. Again, it's Mark Hamill, so it's a struggle to get a fantastically good likeness. I think they've captured the costume really well here. It has some moderate weathering on it. This is Luke as we see him around the halls of Bespin and fighting with Vader, or the early part of the fight with Vader. He gets quite beat up as that fight goes on. That's the Bespin Luke Skywalker. And lastly, we have what is possibly my favourite of my Empire Strikes Back figures, and that is, I believe this was an Amazon exclusive. It's the Chewbaca and C-3PO 2-pack. So this is it's basically the Empire Strikes Back Chewbaca with an ordinary E11 blaster, as we see him on Bespin. That's all he has. It's the only arm blaster that he uses on Bespin. And he comes with a C-3PO that can be taken to pieces and put into the net and carried on his back, as we see 3PO for the last part of the film. He gets blasted and dismantled while they're on Bespin, and Chewbacca finds him and rescues him and starts to repair him and put him back together. And for a lot of the film, his arms and legs are still off, and he's in a basket, in a net on Chewie's back, and that's what we have here. It's actually one of the nicer C-3PO figures as well. I'm not going to take it out of the net and put it together, because it can be quite tricky to put together. But yeah, it is one of the nicer 3PO figures that we've gotten in the range, and it does have the advantage of being able to take it apart like this. Comes with these are separate pieces. Excuse me, sneezing away. These are separate pieces for the arms, where the wires stick in when you take the arms out, so that the armholes look like they've got wires coming out of them, as we see in the movie. Another fantastic figure, really nice paint apps, really good looking figure. As I say, I think it was an exclusive. I'm fairly sure it was an Amazon exclusive. I may be wrong on that. I'm sure people will let me know in the comments if I am wrong on that. So yeah, that's the second half of my Empire Strikes Back figure collection from Hasbro's Black Series 6-inch figure range. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you liked seeing the figures. If you have, give the old like bell, the like thumbs up a tap. That tells the old YouTube algorithm that you like the content that I'm making, and makes it more likely that you'll see more of it in your feed. If you like the content, please do consider subscribing to the channel as well. As I say at the beginning of my videos, lots of Star Wars, lots of lightsabers, lots of things like this. So if you enjoy this sort of thing, Please do consider subscribing to the channel. But from now, from me and my Empire Strikes Back 6-inch figure collection, all that leaves me to say is cheerio, everyone.